Joining me is David Adler, President of the Australian Jewish Association. David, thank you so much for joining us. I'm not going to ask you the obvious. You will be as horrified as I am, disgusted. I don't need to hear how you feel because this is just sick. But I do want to ask you this. The video we saw today, nurses saying they wouldn't treat Jews, they'd kill them. Is this some one-off, just a couple of hotheads saying things that you would hear nowhere else?
Andrew, thank you for your editorial, which was absolutely spot on. And I just want to make a big picture point and then drill down to your question. And I want your viewers to understand that throughout history, modern times, ancient times, whenever, a rise in anti-Semitism has always been associated with the decline of a society. And the second point which needs to be made is we need to acknowledge that we do have a significant anti-Semitism problem in our Muslim community. That doesn't mean each and every single Muslim is anti-Semitic, but it is a problem. And what you've seen in the healthcare workers in Sydney today is not isolated. It is the most spectacular example in Australia, but we have we have healthcare workers for Palestine, a group. We have health unions that have been taking anti-Israel activism positions. We've had Jewish healthcare workers feel that they have had to hide their identity when they turn up for work in hospitals and clinics and the like. And there is a very important American-based organisation called Canary Mission. And after your show, I would encourage people to go to their website, just Google Canary Mission and do a search on the word doctor. And you will find dozens of examples of extremist medical practitioners who have supported terrorism and have made threatening positions. We do have an interesting example in Australia, and I will call out Dr. Ziad Bassinui, who is standing for the federal election, he says, in the seat of Watson against Tony Burke. And on the 7th and 8th of October 2023, he was doing social media celebrating the actions of Hamas, the brutal terrorism. So it unfortunately is not an isolated incident, albeit the most spectacular.
Yeah, and don't forget the teachers that insisted on trying to wear keffiyehs to school. I can't imagine what Jewish students would have thought of that. And I have another example in the health field. You had a minister, Britain had a minister in its Labor government, Jess Phillips. She said she got better treatment at a Birmingham hospital because she'd called on Israel to cease fire. She said, I got through because of who I am. Also, the doctor who saw me was Palestinian, as it turns out. Almost all the doctors in Birmingham seem to be. He was sort of like, I like you. You voted for a ceasefire. I got through quicker. So I just wonder who she pushed out of the queue. I got to ask, was it a Jew? I mean, seriously, David, this is just mind-boggling. But the reaction today from the Prime Minister and the non-reaction from most of the Greens, David Shoebridge accepted a very flat email from post from him. Your response to their response or non-response?
Well, you're right. They always find words that don't actually confront causation. So the Prime Minister will say, oh, we don't have a place for anti-Semitism. But you will notice that in his little speech in Parliament, he says nothing about the political motivation voting. He does not identify them as Muslim. He won't say that they used Islamic terminology. So again, it's another showcase of his weakness and failure to properly address cause. And we need proper leadership to deal with this, and we're not getting it.
I think that's exactly right, David. And again, I've got another example where you had a Sydney imam who was filmed saying the day will come when the trees and the stones say, hey, Muslim, there's a Jew hiding behind me. come and kill him. He wasn't prosecuted for, and I think for the simple reason that if the police tried to prosecute him for that, they would be prosecuting him for quoting correctly from the sacred Islamic texts. And that is the confrontation no one dares have. And so we go, like I say, whack-a-mole, whack-a-mole, whack-a-mole. David Adler, thank you so much for fighting on this front for so long. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time.